All right. My gavel is missing this evening, sorry. So it is 6:02 p.m. on October 23rd, 2024, and I am calling our regular board meeting to order. Clerk Milner, if you could please start with attendance.
Director Biermeyer. Director Pine.
Here.
Director Zuzek.
Here.
Vice Chair Dressley.
Here.
Chair Tate.
Here.
And Director Milner here. And Director Bruns is absent this evening.
Thank you. All right, next I'd like to ask all who are able to stand and approve the meeting minutes from September 25th, 2024.
Zuzek recommends approval of those minutes with the minor changes that were suggested and made. Thank you.
Okay. Could I get a second, please?
Second, Dressley.
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, all those in favor to approve the meeting minutes from September 25th, 2024, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. All right, motion passes unanimously to approve the meeting minutes from September 25th, 2024 with the minor adjustments that were suggested and already made. All right, next I'd like to recognize the visitors in the room. Thank you for joining us in person and online, and also those future viewers of ours. We appreciate your dedication to Hastings Public Schools. Next up, we have our Raider Spotlight. Superintendent Champa.
All right, always one of my favorite things. So tonight we have a couple of things that we're recognizing. So first off, we haven't had a regular board meeting since our National Custodian Day, which was October 2nd. So wanted to recognize that. And we also have Director Stockdale here with us tonight. Secondly, we are fortunate to have a Rotary presentation tonight. So I welcome Craig Beisel and guest to please come forward.
All right. Thanks again for having me. My name is Craig Beisel. I am, for those I don't know, I'm the president of the Hastings Area Rotary Club. This is the third time I'll be presenting to the school board with this check here today. I will note that in years past, I've been able to put together a presentation of pictures. However, this year, I didn't have time to do that, and I didn't want to show the fact that Fletcher Peterson beat me in the takedown wrestling match, so you aren't going to get pictures. As you guys are aware, this is the third year, this is the third time we've done this with our Rivertown Live concert. It was even great. As you're aware, we recently hosted our annual Rivertown Live concert. It was even great to see some of you there to show your support. Our event has proved itself once again to be an impressive event for the Hastings community, offering the opportunity to attract folks from all over. Our event would not be possible if it weren't for the support of the community, the volunteers, and the Hastings Athletic Department. The partnership the Hastings Rotary Club has formed with the Athletic Department has once again proven to be invaluable. Like years past, Athletic Director Trent Hansen and I worked together to ensure the needs of the bands were met and the event ran smoothly with offering backup support throughout the day. This year, we were supported by the football, swim and dive, volleyball, soccer, and tennis teams. And tonight we have Pete McGinnis and Josh Colvin here, and Mr. Charlie Colvin, thank you for helping out. Throughout the day of the event, we had student athletes loading and unloading band equipment, helping with guest check-in and ticketing, selling cheese curds, picking up garbage, and being available for whatever surprise or need that came up. Our Sunday morning cleaning duties were completed in record time in time for the next day's car show. The football team ensured that we had the area picked up and packed away with assuring that no one could tell there was 2,000 folks present the night before. Roughly 75 athletes and 10 coaches contributed to our success. These numbers illustrate 150 hours of volunteer hours provided in support of Rivertown Live. It was so great to show off the work and help of these student athletes to all the concert goers. Concert attendees shared feedback praising the idea of having student athletes help. The band crews shared positive feedback of how impressed they were with the help, as well as commenting they'd never seen this sort of an arrangement with other performances. As a way for our club to give feedback, as a way for our club to give back and offer our appreciation, we collected tips notifying guests that all tips collected would be donated to the Hastings High School. The amount this year collected was indeed a record. The generosity was utterly amazing. It brings the Hastings Area Rotary Club a great amount of pleasure and pride that we can provide a check today for $2,500. Again, I want to thank Trent Hansen, the athletes, the coaches, for all their support and positive attitudes throughout the entire weekend. It was just amazing. So I have a check. I don't know if you guys do pictures or whatever, but here it is, $2,500 from the Hastings Rotary Club to the Hastings School District. So are there any questions or comments?
I was down at the event. It was excellent. Very good. Job well done. They're not easy to pull off.
No. Awesome. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can we get a quick picture with that check?
Yeah.
Somebody.
Oh, yeah, that'd be awesome.
Can we get, can you do that, Scott? Yeah. Excellent, thank you.
Where do you want to? Where do we go? Get you in there too?
Yeah, Charlie, get in here.
But I do want to pass this out.
Come on.
Oh, you want to get in here real quick too?
Yes.
Charlie, oh yeah, this will be on the front page of the newspaper too.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right. Thank you too for all of our custodial staff and leadership for making our buildings look great. And also, yeah, Rivertown Live was amazing, for sure. I know it takes a lot of people to put that on, so that was phenomenal. All right, any other comments? All right, moving on. Next up, we have our public comment session, and we have one speaker tonight who will be recognized and allotted 3 minutes of time. We have a 30-second sign to alert to the time remaining, as well as a timer at the end of the time. We ask that speakers state their name for the record and refrain from using this time to criticize or complain about any specific employee by name. Please be aware that the school board is interested in hearing comments from the public and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond or debate in this setting. We request that speakers be respectful. Comments by any others may be ruled out of order, and those not abiding by this may potentially be asked to leave. So, Ms. Hedin, we'd like to welcome you up.
I don't want to count against my time, but Rivertown Live was a blast, and I got to work adjacent to the cheese curd area, and those teams worked hard. They worked very hard. My name is Lisa Hedin. I'm an employee of the district, a resident of Denmark Township, and I have 2 children that graduated from the Hastings School District. And I came today to speak. It's probably about communication. I really struggled to kind of grab the essence of this, but the 2 pieces that caught my eye that I'm concerned about is in the NAPAC notes for today's meeting. I see it noted that the board has asked NAPAC not to purchase flags until a wall hanging policy is developed. I go to all the board meetings, I watch them, or I go to the work sessions, and I've been at virtually every committee meeting, and I've never heard the board speak to the question of delaying NAPAC's purchase of the flags. So this speaks to the question of board voice. Like, an individual member of the board does not speak on behalf of the board unless the board has taken action. So we don't have a policy on wall hangings, but apparently somebody has spoken to NAPAC and said, don't do this thing. And I honestly can't imagine a wall hanging policy that would not allow the flags of the sovereign nations that are within the contiguous boundary of Minnesota to be hung. I would struggle to understand what that policy would look like. And so I think I would ask you to have a lot of caution with regard to speaking as a board if you haven't discussed a topic as a board and taken a vote. I think that's a questionable area. I've also noted in today's policy review, or first reading is policy 530 on immunizations. I was at the policy committee meeting where that was discussed, and there was, it was a really uncomfortable meeting. There was one person that was strongly proponent of adding a statement about employee behavior, which was based on comments that had been received from the public many years before, 3 years before. And there was not consensus in the room, but eventually, because there wasn't an ability to get off that topic, a statement is added and a piece is added in the policy for first reading. But then there's not good discussion at about policies at this table, because you guys only see them during board meetings, maybe during some work sessions, and it's just not the same robust level of conversation. And you don't have like, Mary Ellen Fox, our health specialist, in the room to talk about those concerns. So I would ask you to consider, and this came up at the community conversation, recording committee meetings that allows that robust conversation to be viewed by the public or other board members who have been asked not to attend committees that they don't sit on. Because I just don't think that robust conversation is happening. And we're missing the real conversations. The public's missing the real conversations. So just consider that. I know it feels like you're having the conversation because you're sitting in the committee room. But the conversation's not happening in the public, and it's not happening in a very transparent way. Thank you.
Thank you. I just would like to add some clarification. So our goal this year has been to have all policies that are going for first or even second reading, third reading. If there are significant changes, we bring all of our policies to our work sessions first before they come to the regular meeting. So there's the opportunity for all board members to review and comment on them in that setting. All right, next up we have our reports and discussions portion of our agenda. Superintendent's report is first.
Sure. All right. A number of things that are going on right now. So number one is pathways. So we're just having a lot of pathways conversations. Yesterday, a lengthy meeting with a lot of excitement and energy. Tomorrow morning, pathways will be presented at Rotary at 7:30 in the morning. So we're excited about that. And then tomorrow night, we have a joint project with Rotary, with Cycling Without Age, and our high school construction program to jointly put up a shed for the Trishaws, and that will be presented at Power of 100 tomorrow night. So we have some great other projects that are there, but regardless, the fact that that's being recognized as being an exemplary project, we're very excited about that. This week, we also had the opportunity for our Tribal Nations consult, and so that was held at Prairie Island on Monday, and we had a team attend that, including Director Bruns, and then school perception survey. So the survey has closed. We are slightly down for our parents and for our staff, but we are up for our students. So we appreciate the feedback, and we are looking forward to digging into that a little bit more as we review all of that and then really analyze those results, which then will kick off the tour of engagement in our community. So I'm looking forward to that as well. I also have a PFAS update, which I will turn that over to Director Stockdale to speak to that.
Hi, everybody. So the last board meeting I was at, I was asked to bring some health concerns related to PFAS, and so I'm just going to kind of do a quick overview for you on what those would be. PFAS are a group of over 9,000 toxic chemicals that build up in the body and stay there for a long time. Nearly all people in the United States have measurable amounts of PFAS in their blood. High levels of PFAS may lead to the following health concerns: immune system. It may make it hard for the body to fight off infections and diseases. Cholesterol may increase levels, which can increase risk of heart disease. Cancer may increase risk of kidney, prostate, or testicular cancer. Liver damage may disrupt normal liver metabolic functions or increase fatty liver disease. thyroid disease, endocrine disruptors that can lead to thyroid disease. Preeclampsia may be associated with late onset preeclampsia, with affected 2 to 8% of pregnancies in the US, which is a life-threatening hypertensive disorder only during pregnancy or postpartum periods. Developmental effects. Exposure can cause developmental effects or delays in fetus and children. Low birth weight, exposure during fetal life, and the newborn period can be associated with reduced birth weight. So a few ways to decrease that. Of course, drinking water, using filtration systems, food, following fish eating guides and avoiding eating contaminated game or fish. Cookware, avoiding non-stick cookware if you don't use that. Or if you do use it, keep the heat below 400 degrees and stop using it if it chips or scratches. Home stuff, choose furniture and carpets that are not labeled stain resistant. Vacuum often to pick up dust. Products, check your product labels for ingredients that include the words fluoro or plurofluoro. You can also ask retailers what's in their products. And then outdoor gear, consider buying waterproof clothing from European brands which may use alternatives to PFAS. So it's everywhere, and there's small ways to mitigate it, but it's kind of just prolific in our society to some degree. Questions? All right. Thanks.
Probably stay there for the next.
Got it.
Thank you.
Ready?
All right, yep.
All right, next up, we have cadence of accountability. So this is what you're used to seeing. And so if you'll put up that quick. It's on the agenda, cadence of accountability. So if you, that's fine. So looking at all of our directors, principals set their SMART goals every year with the strategic anchors of the strategic plan. And then every month, they are asked to reflect on their goals, both numerically and narratively, just to keep it at the forefront of the work that we're doing. And so what you're hearing is a glimpse of what those goals look like. So you'll hear throughout the year of various directors and principals speak to at least one of their goals. So with that, Director Stockdale.
All right, I chose to present on my first goal, which is around communication and collaboration. And the goal is to build strong teams and create a strong leadership culture. So I've found that leadership drives culture all the time. So having a strong leadership base moving forward with what we're doing with facilities is just super important. And culture is shaped by vision. So having somewhere to go. Where is that culture going? Where are we driving? So I produced my vision statement for you to kind of look through and review. I'll read it for you. But for us in the facilities department, that vision of where we're going is having exceptional servers, operating in a mature team culture, displaying a strong work ethic, and developing skills and habits. And kind of this does double a little bit as an ID statement. It kind of describes who we are and how it's like us to act as a group for facilities. And so that's kind of just a quick snapshot. I could talk about leadership all night, but that's kind of the direction I'm driving and working with our leads to be stronger leaders and have better communication across really the district with everything we do. Questions? Awesome, thank you.
Thank you. I like it all. I particularly like developing skills and habits because it's forward thinking, it's growth mindset, and it acknowledges that you've got people joining your team constantly, and the team is responsible for that person's growth as much as they are responsible for their growth. And I like that idea of developing skills and habits, forward thinking, growth minded. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Director Subert?
right, so the goal I am highlighting tonight is also around communication and collaboration. And it is to improve the communication and collaboration process amongst the finance team and key building department stakeholders during the annual budget development process. So to do that, we will be increasing the number of communications and opportunities for collaboration, and the number will vary from department and or building. And then we will be implementing, or I will be implementing a structured review cycle that includes those opportunities to have conversations with each department manager. And then really it's relevant right now so that the enhanced communication and collaboration will lead to deeper understanding of those budgets and improved accuracy and transparency. It will also increase the ownership and commitment from those involved, allowing for diverse perspectives and group problem solving while allowing each building or department to align their budget with their goals. And then this goal for me will be ongoing. However, the initial meetings will be scheduled for October and November, so starting pretty quick here. And I can take any questions if you have them.
Looks great, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just stay here and do bond.
Sounds good. All right. Next up, we have the Building Construction Fund Project update with Ms. Subert.
Okay, so again, just a quick reminder in this one that the Building Construction Fund accounts for the money the district received from the voter-approved bonds, and it's used mostly for renovations and improvements, but there are some capital-related items allowed. As of September 30th, there's $283,000 that's been unallocated, so that money can be used for the arbitrage that we know we owe, and then it can also be used for other projects. And as far as updates from last month, there's been no new projects added. We just continue to work on the ones that are in process. We have no projects in design, and the remaining funds in this account are $1.4 million.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, moving on. If we could please get our legal data request update, Ms. Moen.
Good evening. The legal bills that are bills payable since the last board meeting did not include any costs related to data requests. Since we met last, we have had 3 additional data requests that have come in, and we are currently in process with 5 data requests that we're working on. Questions I can
Thank
answer?
you. I was wondering, do you happen to know when we will get some of these legal bills with the most recent large requests we've had?
I anticipate that probably next month or the month after, we'll see the data request bills for this last one that was provided. And then I'm guessing that in the coming months, you'll start seeing more data request costs coming through.
Thank you. I don't suppose you have any estimate whatsoever on how many hours legal has spent on our, okay, thank you. All right, any other questions? Okay, moving along. Next, I am excited to have our very first reports from our student school board representatives. So we are going to start with Student Representative Steinke.
Hi, I'm Student Representative Steinke. So I get the honor of reporting on the student activities at the middle school for the month of October. To start off with athletics, the girls soccer team ended their season this month with a win against Oakland Middle School. On a similar note, cross country also finished their season this month with a conference meet in White Bear Lake. As for the performing arts department, congratulations to the 8th graders who were selected to be members of the Minnesota Junior Winds Honor Band. In addition to this, students have been working really hard this month on the HMS musical Seussical Junior, which is on November 7th and 8th at 7 p.m. To finish this all off, middle school students can look forward to Rockstar Awards, which will be starting in November.
All right, any questions? Sounds good, thank you. Next up, we will hear from Student Representative Aiden Suarez Garcia.
Yeah, so I represent McAuliffe Elementary in the ALC. So for McAuliffe, early in October, kindergarten students took a trip to the Carpenter Nature Center. They also participated in a fire safety presentation on the 7th and 8th of October. Firefighters came to the school and informed them in case what to do in case of a real fire. Recently, on Indigenous People Day, the students were visited by Native American author Teresa Peterson, where she educated them on the importance of the day, and she had a few passages from her books. For the ALC just had their annual photo contest last week. The students walked around the campus and took just as many photos as they want, and they would submit 1 or 2 of them, and they'd put this into a contest, and the staff would pick, I think, 2 winners, where they'd get their photos, where they get their photos put up on the wall in the ALC in canvas print, and then they'd get a small prize. Also, in the ALC's physics class, led by Christian Wagi, the students are making model rockets, and they get to launch them next week.
Very cool. All right, any questions? Excellent, thank you. Next up, we'll hear from Student Representative Briseis Rusnako.
Hello, I am representing Hastings High School and Tilden Preschool this month. I do warn the high school one is quite long. So as we headed into our first full month of school for the 2024-2025 school year, there was high student activity, many sports starting up, and a lot of days off. At the beginning of the month, we had our first of 6 Raider Connect days of the year, with this year being different due to having all the students required to stay to work on things like missing work and test corrections during our Raider Connect time, where in past years it had only been freshmen. And this had a very good outcome, with many people being able to get caught up on a lot of missing work. Fields of Faith, hosted by FCA, had a great turnout on October 9th, with many students and families from schools coming together at Todd Field. Last Tuesday, October 15th, students wore orange in honor of Unity Day due to October being National Bullying Awareness Month. And on Indigenous Peoples Day, author Teresa Peterson also came to the high school and spoke over 2 class periods to the students, and she even taught a bit of the Dakota language, which I thought was really cool. And this whole month, the cast of Clue, the play, have been rehearsing and getting ready for their performances on November 15th, 16th, and 17th. For sports, fall sports continued to flourish throughout this whole month with very positive student engagement and one of the most competitive seasons in a while. Boys soccer placed 4th in their conference and girls placed 2nd. Both teams won their first game but lost their second. Cross country also received 2nd in their conference. And Brooklyn and Reese Keller placed 1st in doubles tennis at the section's individuals tournament and qualified for state. Our very new girls dance team started just this past Monday, and last night the varsity's Raider football team won their first section game 35-0. And for Tilden Preschool, so this year Tilden has 143 students, with 35 ECSE students coming in for services and 7 kids in their birth to 3-year-old services. October 1st, Tilden hosted a family fun night with 130 students attending. They had their field trip to the fire station and also got to learn about fire safety. They also had a high turnout at conferences last week and received a new sandbox, which the kids love. And Tilden actually has mystery readers in the classrooms, with it being either surprise family members or guest readers, and they're actually collaborating with Pleasant Hill Library to do a story time together in the near future.
All right. That is a lot to report on. Lots going on at the high school. It's awesome. All right, any questions? Great. And finally, we have Student Representative Jen Banky.
All right. Hello there, everybody. So I'm presenting on both Pinecrest and Kennedy Elementary this month. So as for Kennedy, in the past month, the Kennedy students have been pretty busy. On October 3rd, their PTA hosted a fun run for all of the students. And then in early October, firefighters came to the school, educated students on what to do in case of a fire, so fire safety training. And then more recently, on Indigenous Peoples Day, the students had a visit from Native American author Tara Perrin, who educated them on the day and shared some passages from one of her books. And then as for Pinecrest, students at Pinecrest also had like a very busy month. So they started off the month with their readathon, which took place from September 28th to October 6th. They set a goal of $10,000 this year. Unfortunately, I don't know how much they made. And then they also had their school bus safety training earlier in September, where school bus drivers came to the school and trained the students how to be safe on and around the buses. And then finally, at the end of the month, the school hosted a Scholastic Book Fair for the students the week before MEA.
All right, thank you. Any questions? All right, well done, student representatives. Thank you for representing our students well. All right, next up, we have an update from District 917 from Director Zuzek.
The big news is that on Thursday, Halloween, October 31st, there's a training for superintendents and for the 917 board. Collaborative training happens every year, and this one is in collaboration with the Center for Humanities. So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, thanks.
All right, thank you. Any questions for Director Zuzek? All right, moving along, unfortunately, Director Bruns is not here tonight. It was a bit unexpected. So he represents, he's our representative for AMSD, and I don't have any information specifically to share. His report is included in the board book meeting minutes. If anyone wants to go through and read, there's a Connections newsletter there to kind of get you up to speed on what AMSD has been working on. Anybody else have anything to contribute? Okay. Moving along, next we have the Community Collaboration Committee update from Director Pine.
We just recently added an additional meeting on November 18th at 6 p.m. The location is still to be determined, but this is an ask of the community to participate in the strategic plan. We are looking for community feedback, and this is our first event to launch this. So please look forward to the meeting location once we get that assigned.
And I apologize, I did secure the lecture hall at the high school for that. So that's new news. All right, thank you. Any questions? Okay, next up we have the Facilities Committee update from Director Milner.
We have not had a meeting since our last board meeting, so our next one is November 1st at 8 a.m.
Thank you. All right, next up is the Finance Committee update from Director Zuzek.
Good catch by my colleagues that we forgot to post when we changed the date, and so we had to delay the meeting again to find a different date for it. And we've got it out there for the 4th, next Monday, or a week from Monday, on the 4th of November. Thanks.
Thank you. All right, and next up again, we have the NAPAC committee update, and Director Bruns is our liaison for that committee. I don't know, Superintendent Champa, were you at the meeting?
I was not.
You were not? Okay, and I know Director Dressley was not either. So again, we've got the information is in their agenda on what they covered in that, but unfortunately, I can't really speak to the discussion. So moving along, we have our Student School Board Committee update with Vice Chair Dressley.
The Student School Board Committee has not met since our last meeting. We are looking to put one meeting on the calendar before the end of December, and that's to be determined. So.
Thank you. And finally, we have our Policy Committee update with Vice Chair Dressley again.
So in October, the Policy Committee reviewed 2 policies that will be detailed in the readings, and we also discussed 2 additional policies. The policies we discussed were 516, student medication, and 533, wellness, and those are both with the Smart Choices Student Wellness Committees and will be brought back to the board, or brought back to the Policy Committee November 15th, and then brought back to the board at the end of November during our regular meeting. Okay. First reading, 530, immunization requirements. The committee discussed adding vaccine preventable to sections 2 and 3, and also added a sentence to section 4C stating the district and staff will respect the rights of parents and students to make immunization decisions for themselves. We are recommending that this move forward to first reading. Is there any questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move along to second readings. For our second readings tonight, we have 4 policies. Policy 514, bullying prohibition policy, policy 526, hazing prohibition, policy 531, the Pledge of Allegiance, all had no changes since our last reading. Does anybody have any questions on those? No? Okay, then policy 909, memorial and memorial activities for students and staff. The changes that were made, or the recommendations that are being made for the changes were based on administrative feedback. I'm not going to go through and read every single one. They're on board book for everybody to view if they'd like to view along with the agenda. And then we have one policy for third reading tonight, and it's policy 516.5, overdose medication. And there are no changes to that one since the last reading, or since its first reading. Any questions on policies?
All right, thank you. Next up, we have our action items, and the first item is our consent agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, please?
Zuzik makes a motion to approve the consent agenda.
All right, could I get a second, please?
Gearmeyer, seconds.
Thank you. All right, any discussion? I do have just one question. Superintendent Champa, we're approving the teachers on call contract. And I just want to make sure that the teachers on call contract is strictly for the teaching staff, the main teaching staff, and not for paras, not for anybody else.
At this point, it's teachers only, yes.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. All right, any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor of approving the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes to approve the consent agenda unanimously. All right, next up we have our items for individual action, and first up is our district division card, and I think we'll have some discussion first.
Actually, I'll walk through it and talk about each of them as we go. I also have our high school principal, Mr. Dorn, is here as well to speak to some of the high school areas. So if it's okay with you, I'm just going to walk through line by line and give a little bit of feedback or follow up on some of the additional questions that I've received. So that maybe is good for everyone else, but no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. We're good. All right. The first thing you have there is MCA reading. And so we are now looking at a 3-year trend. So at 52%. And the question was, how's that data pulled? What does that look like? And that is a challenge when you're going from year to year, just to make sure that the data is consistent and that everyone knows exactly how it's pulled. So in this case, it's October 1 data. And when you're pulling this, you can check a number of boxes as you go. So in this case, it's students meeting enrollment criteria, meaning that a student that maybe joined us the week before the test is not counted in our data. So they had to be one of our students, October 1, to be included in that data. And then you can also look at all tests or just MCA tests. And the data you have in front of you is just MCA tests for students meeting that enrollment criteria. The next area is our FastBridge screening data. And that, again, looks at the 3-year trajectory there. And I was also asked what that looks like. Do we have ongoing information on that? So FastBridge is one of the approved screeners in the state of Minnesota right now. And so on the back side of your vision card, you have what that looks like right now. So we have benchmark testing 3 times a year in the fall, winter, and spring. And then for students who are showing areas of concern, then there's additional progress monitoring for those students. So in that first one, the most data that we have is for our 4th grade students at the elementary level. And so as you look at how they performed in grade 1 in the fall, so if we just look at that top line there, we had 20% of our students in what we would consider the high-risk category, meaning that we want some interventions there to ensure that they're on grade level. Then in second grade, that same group of students, cohort of students, 21%, 19 as they moved into grade 3, and then grade 4 at 17. And again, that's looking fall to fall to fall to fall, following that group of students. What we want that number to be doing is to be going down, and we can see that we do have that trend. Some risk, 25% to 22, 23, and this year at 18. And so with this, any students who are in that high risk, some risk, then the interventions are based on where they are, whether they're receiving tier 2 or tier 3 interventions. And those are all at each of the building levels. And that falls under what we call MTSS, so multi-tiers of student support. Any questions about that? All right, moving on, our MCA math grades 3, 8, and 11. You can see we have our 3 years there, most recently at 47%. MCA science grades 5, 8 in the high school at 41%. And then newly added is MCA opt-out. So we have seen more students opting out of state testing. So right now we're at 2.7% for the 23-24 school year. ECT, grades 11 and 12, national average is at 19. Ours for this past year is at 21.9. Graduation rate at 95%, and it's really tiny in the parentheses there, but that is our 5-year rate. And so once again, making sure that we're documenting exactly what the data is so that we're being consistent as we continue to pull this information. And then passing rates for our students in grades 5 through 9, passing all classes. And this last year, we had 88% of our students passing all their classes. We look at the achievement gap in MCA math, reading, and science. And so looking at the median of all of those groups, you can see how that has changed over time. And then I'm going to ask Mr. Dorn to speak to secondary credit recovery and then student enrollment and PSEO.
Thanks for having me again. As we look through those numbers, you'll see student credit recovery numbers are down from last year. And actually, if you think about it, our goal is to get to 0. We don't want to have students recovering credit. A lot of effort has gone into the intervention time, our Rater Connect time, and now that we've established that 9-12 instead of just 9th grade, I think those numbers will continue to go down. So we've seen a good trend, especially as you think our graduation rate stays the same or gets better. And reducing credits, that's a good trend in both ways.
Mr. Dorn, a question has also been asked, how many are attempted but do not get the credit?
Yeah, I don't have that number in front of me now. We do have a number of students who don't complete a credit. Let's say they have a few weeks during summer school. Through our Edgenuity program, they might not finish, but we have the ability to archive that course, and as that student enters their junior, senior year, they can pick that course back up and not lose progress. So those credits are still going to be continued. You want me to work down through? Yep. Our college in the schools numbers have decreased a little bit. And if you look at the CVTC, about 4 numbers down, that has increased. The number of courses we're offering through Chippewa Valley, and it's a very good financial situation. I'm not sure if you're aware, but they bill us for the curriculum. The same, we bill them on paper, and Ms. Suber can maybe speak to this better, for our staffing time. It's a zero-sum game, and our students are able to get those credits for free, and it doesn't impact the district negatively financially. So you'll see those credits going up. If you walk up one line to our AP courses, 517 students taking those AP courses. And what I'm going to project and predict is that as we increase our number of concurrent enrollment courses, our college-based courses, those AP offerings are going to come down. And basically what that means is, and the trend is nationwide, students are wanting to get that credit almost automatically. You earn a C or higher, some courses a B or higher, you get the credit. AP courses, again, are required at the end to take a high-stakes test depending on how you do on that test, you may or may not get credit at certain institutions. So it's a little bit more risky, if you want to think about it that way, to take an AP course versus a concurrent enrollment course to be able to earn that credit almost automatically. So we're going to see a trend in our own offerings increasing in the college, decreasing in the AP offerings. And then our CTE is career and technical education. This number has carried forward from a formula that I inherited, which means all of our career-based classes are included in this. We're talking everything from floral design to general metals to life skills, child development, all of those things. What you'll see is a decrease in that number. From 2 years ago in our tech department, we had 4 full-time staff, 4.0 FTE. The trends in enrollment, student registrations, and budgeting, that was reduced to 3.0. So we lost 1 full-time teacher for the 23-24 school year. So you'll see those numbers down about those 10 sections basically that we would have offered through another staff member. The other implication or reason that number has come down is we had not quite enough students to run our, I believe it was accounting class. It's back up and running now, but for 1 year, we didn't have enough students to run it. And we had to section around that. And then our full-time and part-time PSEO numbers for last year were 57, and you can see the breakdown there. There's, I believe it's 19 full-time, and is that 38 part-time students through PSEO, which again, are students leaving our district for a certain portion of their day, whether it's physically or online, to receive credit. It's through Inver Hills, University of Minnesota, a number of DCTC, a number of schools around us. So I can take questions on any of those. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate you being here. All right, as we continue to move down the list here, student attendance, looking at chronic absences, that number has stayed the same as last year at 7%. And then we have a number of areas that were based on the school perception survey, which last year was our first year. And we're really close to adding new data for that for the 24-25 school year. So last year, we had students saying they feel safe at school at 89%. Teachers caring about our students. And with this, students just grades 4 through 12 took the survey, also 89%. Teachers treat me with respect, 95%. My teachers make their classes fun and interesting, 83%. And if I were bullied, I would feel comfortable talking to someone, 77%. So we'll have some comparison data to that very soon. Looking at mental health, the first one is a survey question also from School Perceptions. If I have a big problem, there's an adult at school I can talk to. And we really talk a lot about making sure students have one adult that they can go to and feel comfortable with. And we had 88% of our students reporting that. Elementary students having recurrent support services, 170. And you can see that number went up. So what exactly does that mean? And according to our elementary principals, it really means that they have stronger systems in place for student support. And so our mental health support counselors are now able to have more groups, more one-on-one, and they're dealing a lot less with behaviors. So certainly a good trend there. And then middle school students accessing recurrent support services, and you see that number jumped a lot. And so they just added a self-check-in system. So anytime a student checks in. Now, what we don't have is exactly what the check-in means, right? When they're attending there, and we'll speak to the high school here soon too. Middle school students participating in support groups at 49. Number of time high school students access the support services, that number at 6,640. That also includes the student office. That might be for a transcript. It might be a lot of different things. So again, a little difficult to understand exactly what's included there. High school students identified and met with due to depression screener, 62. And then high school peer helper contacts at 3,678. Any questions in that area? As we continue to move on, student participation in activities and athletics, we talked about this a little bit last time. We also see a decrease there, and that's due to not including student clubs which had been included in the past and will be again next year. And so you have that noted at the bottom. Looking at staff engagement, again, school perception survey, I feel safe at school, 89%. I feel supported by my supervisor, administrator, 77%. I feel comfortable sharing my input and concerns, 74%. And most days I look forward to going to work, 77%. Our staff is highly trained at 80%. That has been 81%, 81, and now 80. And then from our families, I feel welcomed in my child's school, 86%. School staff treat my child with dignity and respect, 93. My child feels safe at school, 86. The school has high expectations, 80%. If my child breaks a rule, they are treated fairly, 90%. And school communication is timely and transparent, 81%. Our family engagement opportunities, 6 events. And again, we're just trying to make sure that we're comparing data the same way. And so we've listed what that includes. School Finance Award, 100% awarded annually since 2008. And then building conditions were reported at 91%. Our tech program does an overall satisfaction survey with our staff, and that was rated at 97%. Community partnerships and collaborations, we had an opportunity to engage with 31 different organizations last year. And then our rater update metrics. So our rater update, the last school year, was viewed 184,977 times, which equates to an average of 5,138 views per week. That's what I have for you. Questions you have?
I actually have more of a comment, because I think there's some confusion. I've heard confusion in the public anyway. The MCA opt-out percentage. So when students are opted out of MCAs, it actually counts as a 0.
Correct.
So the increase in opt-outs we would expect a decrease in MCA scores, even if all the MCA scores stayed the same, but you had some students opt out. So that's why it's an important piece of information to have as we go forward with the information.
All right.
Any other comments, questions? Thank you for going through that in detail. All right, with that, I am looking for a motion on this item.
I move to approve the 2024-2025 vision card.
Thank you. Can I get a second, please?
Milner, second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, with that, all those in favor of approving the 2024-25 district vision card, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes unanimously to approve the 2024-25 district vision card. All right, and next up, we have donations, a donation resolution. So, Clerk Milner, could you please move forward with the resolution?
I, Director Milner, introduce the following resolution and move for its adoption. Whereas School Board Policy 706 establishes guidelines for the acceptance of gifts and donations to the district, whereas Minnesota Statute Section 465.03 states that the school board may accept a gift, grant, or device of real or personal property in accordance with the terms prescribed by the donor only by the adoption of a resolution approved by 2/3 of its members, and whereas the referenced donations in the District 200 donations report from July 2024 to September 2024 have been generously donated. I could use a second.
Second, Dressley.
Dressley duly seconded the motion for the adoption of the foregoing resolution. So, a roll call vote for this. So, Director Biermeyer. Director Pine. Director Zuzek. Vice Chair Dressley. Chair Tate.
Aye.
Director Milner, aye.
Thank you.
Oh, I got one more sentence.
Sorry.
Therefore, be it resolved by the Hastings Public School District School Board to gratefully accept these gifts.
All right, thank you. and I am showing with the in-kind and the monetary donations, this is about $98,000 for the quarter. So thank you to our generous public for your donations to the Hastings Public Schools. Much appreciated. All right, and finally on our agenda, we have our future meetings. Next up, we have, as was mentioned earlier, we have the facilities meeting on November 1st at 8 a.m. Then we have a policy committee that same morning at 10 a.m., followed by the finance committee, as was already mentioned, on November 4th at 1 p.m. And then November 7th, currently we have a work session on there. However, I believe we will be adding a special session for a contract approval that evening. And sorry, I'll get to my topics here. So on our November work session agenda, we have our student behavior report from the principals. We will get an overview of the ALP, and we will be discussing our board 3-year work plan, which I believe will be our 1-year work plan, if everyone is okay with this, because we are going to be doing our strategic plan refresh. And so we're gonna do the work plan for this year to get that solidified, have the strategic plan refresh, and then do years 2 and 3 following that refresh. We will also be getting a presentation about getting an additional SRO and having a discussion on that. We will be getting a budget and audit presentation and have a discussion. And then we will be getting information about policy 520 surveys, and we will be receiving a pathways update progress report. So that's what I have for our November work session. And then we have, as was mentioned again earlier this evening, we have the community input session for the strategic plan on the evening of November 18th at 6 p.m. in the lecture hall at the high school. And then finally, we have our board meeting on November 20th. And the topics that I have allocated to that night will be going through our school perception survey results. We will approve that 1-year board work plan, approve the audit, and receive our information about the comprehensive achievement and civic readiness, formerly known as World's Best Workforce presentation. All right. That's what I have. Yes, busy month to come here. So, all right, any other discussion? Seeing none, could I please get a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Dressley.
Second, Zuzek.
All right, that was quick. Good job. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor to adjourn, say aye. Aye. All right, motion passes unanimously to adjourn at 7 p.m.